She's in the trenches raising a teenager, juggling life, and showing up with grit and grace. Tune in for the raw, the real, the warrior mom, Jen Robb. Not only is she a nurse practitioner, she is also a mom like you who has been knee-deep in the challenges of raising her daughter. Her message is one of hope and packed with great tangible steps on how to get through a challenging season. Thank you for being here today. Hello, moms. Welcome to the Front Parking Spot podcast. I am so glad you're here. I'm Jennifer Bosma, wife, mom, grandma, former teacher for 23 years, and now a Christian children's book author and your podcast host. Are you a faith-based mom trying to live out a Christian life for your family? Do you want to learn more ways that you can have power over your child's spiritual growth? Inside this podcast, you will find tried and true ideas to grow in your faith and be the best wife and mom you can be. So listen in as you're cleaning up, doing the drive, or matching that sock, and be encouraged to know that God has his front parking spot set aside for you. Hello, moms, and welcome to the Front Parking Spot podcast. Today, I am so excited because I have a warrior mom. Her name is Jen Robb. She's a nurse practitioner, an author, a coach, a wife, and a fiercely devoted mom. I think all of us can relate to that right there. I love this. She lives on a small farm with more animals than she probably needs, and she has a whole lot of heart. She wears many hats, but at the center of it all is a deep desire to help women, especially moms, finding strength, hope, and purpose in the middle of their hardest seasons. She has spent over 20 years in medicine, specializing in acute care, and now also certified in functional and integrative medicine. She loves science and the root cause of healing, but she's learned that some of the most powerful healing doesn't come from a prescription. It comes from purpose, from community, and from knowing you're not alone in the fire. Welcome to the Front Parking Spot podcast, Jen.
Hi, thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
We already mentioned that we already like each other because we have the same name, right?
Absolutely.
Aw. Well, I love your bio, and we were talking earlier. She is also a Texas mama, so there's something really cool about being from Texas. Tell us a little bit more that I didn't read in your bio.
So I have been married to my college sweetheart for 25 years, and then we have 3 children. Our oldest is 20, and then we have 19 and 17. Yeah, and I still practice about 2 days a week is when I see patients now. And then the book, it actually got published in mid-May.
Okay, so it's a new release.
Brand new, yeah.
And the title is, and we'll put this in the show notes later, but tell us the title one more time.
Warrior Mom Rising.
Love it. How many of us all listening feel like they're in the middle of a season of warrior mom? They've come through and they feel like a warrior mom, or they want to be a warrior mom. Tell us more about your experience with that.
The book was always, and it was never really my intention, right? I mean, I've been in medicine for so long, but God had different plans. Our daughter started struggling with anxiety and depression and ultimately self-harm when she was around 12. And the journey was hard, right? Watching your child struggle. The book was written after we had started to see the light at the end of the tunnel, right? After God had brought her through. But the book was written to give moms hope and to help them learn how to advocate and overcome and thrive. Because one thing that I realized, like for Chloe, was I know how to advocate and navigate with therapists and counselors and doctors and psychiatrists, right? But a lot of moms don't know how to do those things, right? Because it's not their world.
Right.
For me, it's second nature. But it is very hard sometimes when you have doctors and counselors and therapists telling you what you need to do for your child and your child, you know what I mean? But what they sometimes want, they're not really being helpful, right? You know, especially with like psychiatrists. Like what I found with Chloe was, let's just take this pill. Let's take this pill, add this pill and this pill. Well, that's not always what they need. Modern medicine and pills can be helpful.
Sure.
But you want your child and even yourself, right, to get to the root cause. What's causing the anxiety and the depression and the self-harm, right?
100%.
And so that's like really part of the mission, but also just surrendering our children to God. It's so hard for mamas, but man, oh man, it's what we need to do, right? Because like surrendering Chloe was kind of when the moment of peace
Mhm.
settled in the chaos.
What did that look like when you were doing the surrender? Like, what triggered it? Like, where were you in your place of parenting that you're like, "Whoa, I really do need you, God."
So, like, when your kid's struggling with something, like the mama instinct is just to fix it, right?
Right.
Like they fall
Protect
down,
them.
right? Just they scrape their knee, they come running, you put a band-aid over, you've made them feel better, right? And but when your child is struggling with mental health or addiction or anything, sometimes you can't fix it and you can't control it, but that is really hard, especially if you're OCD or type A like me, right? But fear, that's what control is, right? Control comes from a place of fear, which we know is from the enemy. But I'm telling you, Jennifer, the biggest moment for us was on April 4th, 23. And I'll remember it like it's etched in my brain forever. Chloe had actually broken into a liquor cabinet.
Mhm.
She had broke 2 locks that day to get into this liquor cabinet. And she I couldn't get a hold of her. I knew something was wrong. So, mamas, if you have that gut feeling or that instinct, always trust your instincts. So I called my boys at school and I said, "Go home. Don't pass go, just walk out the door." They came home and they found Chloe unresponsive, laying face down in a pillow in a pool of vomit. So called 911. Finally, after a few minutes, they finally got her to arouse. We rushed her to the hospital and they did all their lab testing and all this stuff. And by the time we got our labs back, her alcohol level was 4 times the lethal limit.
Oh my
Not
goodness.
lethal, lethal. Chloe is 5 foot tall, 100 pounds. And the doctor looked at me and said, "There's no reason that she should be alive."
Wow.
And when you think about like the circumstances, right, especially from a point of medicine, right? She's laying unresponsive with a face
Yeah.
in a puddle of vomit. Okay. So let's talk about the aspiration and all the other risk, right? And when that doctor said to me, "There's no reason she should be alive," I knew then that there was something special about her, right? Her story was going to help others. But we got home that night. She was so weak physically, just and emotionally and mentally exhausted. She couldn't even shower herself. And so I had to shower her. She had vomit all just caked in her hair. And I remember washing her hair and God saying to me, "Jen, you need to give her to me.
Mm.
You can't do this by yourself anymore. We're at rock bottom." And I remember just like everything against me is like, no, I can fix it. But God said, "Jen, as much as you love her, I love her more.
Mm. So good.
And she is mine. Let me take care of her." And it's almost like in that instance, it was freeing, right? This just immeasurable amount of peace came over. And I knew that Chloe was going to be okay, right? And I just think that if mamas can find that place, right? Surrender it. Let go and let God do what God needs to do. The the impact can be so mind-blowing in the end,
Mhm.
right? None of us want to walk through pain and trials and fire, right? None of us do. And we certainly don't want that for our kids. But I
Yeah.
think what God reminds me is that he never said the road was gonna be easy.
Mhm.
Not one time did he
Oh.
say, just because we believe in him, that the road is going to be easy. And so that is what I want mamas to understand is you've got to surrender those things that we hold on to so dear and so tight. Letting go and letting God do what God needs to do can be a very pivotal moment in your relationship with God, in you feeling less, I got to have it all together.
Wow. When you're talking, my body was covered in goosebumps. Like, that is, I mean, and I'm even teary-eyed. That is an incredible story. I am wondering, did Chloe say anything? Did you share with her, like, your spiritual, feeling like, "I'm giving you to God, like, he's got a plan." Did you share this with her? Or was it, like, something just between you and God?
No, it was in between me and God at that
Okay.
moment.
Right.
And I think over time, she began to see it, right? But that was like the pivotal moment for me
Mhm.
because growing up in a Christian home, right? She's always been in a Christian home. She's been at church her whole life.
Right.
And I think in the beginning of her struggles, I really wrestled with God and sometimes questioning. And I want mamas to know that that's okay,
Mhm.
right? It's okay to question, like, what are you doing here? Why is this happening to us? Why is this happening to me and my child, right? But it was through that process and going through the questioning phases and realizing when you hit rock bottom, there's no place but, and the only one that's up is God
Right.
himself, right? And so it's in those moments when we feel the weakest that we have to surrender over and just let God do what God does. And I remember thinking, I know you're here like in the early parts of her walk, but where are you? Like you're not. You're not helping. You're not helping me. You're not helping my daughter who's struggling, who doesn't want to get up. And now I look back and I can honestly say that God's delay was not his absence,
Mhm.
right? We forget sometimes when we don't get the answers we want right away because we live in an Amazon society, right? Like
Yeah.
snap my fingers and oh, you should have made it all go away, right?
Right.
But that's not the way it is. And God reminded me over and over and over, I was always there, Jen. But you were relying on your own self and your own strength and your own ability to control everything. When in reality, you had zero control.
Right. When I wrote this down, I mean, if I could, I'm trying to get a quote out of, here. The best quote, what you just said, is when we hit rock bottom, the only way is up, and up is Jesus. And I've never put that two together because rock bottom, oh, I've hit rock bottom, time to go up. But going up, the only way you can continue up is through Jesus, he is the rock that's going to carry you up. That was an amazing quote, girl. Wow. And I love that what you said about God's delay is his timing, you know? It
It's always his timing, and his timing's perfect, right?
Mhm.
Chloe in the shower that day she was sobbing, she was crying, and all she could say was, "I'm sorry, mama. I'm sorry. I love you." And I'm like, "Baby girl, I love you too, and we're gonna get through this."
Mhm.
And so you can imagine as a mama how much you love your kid, how much God loves us more, right? Like you can't even fathom how much that is. And I think when you really sit down and you just rest in that, right?
Mm.
God's got it.
When she was in the shower and she's saying, "I'm sorry," did she realize that God saved her?
Oh no.
Oh,
Oh
she
no.
okay. That was too Does she realize that now?
100% she realizes it now. And there's parts of Chloe's story that she doesn't want to tell right now.
Sure, and that's fine.
Like she doesn't want to talk about, I mean, I happen to talk about them, but she's not come to that place where she's ready to talk about everything, right? And that's okay.
Yes.
But I 100% know that that girl is anointed and that there is some purpose in her pain.
Mhm.
Someday she will tell her story and she will use it to impact other girls, right? And help them know that anxiety doesn't make you crazy, right? Depression doesn't make you unworthy. That's all the enemy's talk to get you to beat you down, to destroy you, right?
Right.
And now she has a relationship with God and
Mhm.
she she rests in that, right? She's found her own peace that it's no longer what happened to her, but what maybe happened for her,
Right.
right? And that's another hard thing in today's society, right? We look at social media and we look at everybody else, right? They're living their lives and they're doing all these things and we struggle sometimes with everybody's got the perfect life on social media, right?
Right.
But in reality they don't. And so I think we get into this comparison stage sometimes. Well, why am I having all these struggles? Why is my kid hurting? Why is, our family feel like it's being torn down and beat down, right? But really, if we change that mindset a little bit and say, it's not what's happening to me or to us, but what's happening for us, it shifts our perspective, right? And now we look at it as, what are you trying to teach me, God? Where are you trying to bring me? Where's the purpose? And I assure you that there is purpose in our pain.
And I like what you just said, because as you were talking, I was thinking about a mom listening in their audience, and she's like, "That's me right now. My son or daughter is experiencing something, very similar. I don't know what else to do. I don't want to just do the medication because that medication just band-aids. It's just a band-aid, and then you create a dependency, and then there's a whole other can of worms." And I agree with you 100% on there's a good place for medicine and there's a good place for that, but we have to understand the root, the root cause. But what you just said is that's what the mom should do. Like what you just said. So mom's listening, she should do. Can you repeat those points you just said about what she should do? She realizes she's stuck. She doesn't know what to do and she's going to turn to God. What should be her first steps?
Well, first is surrender it.
Surrender. Okay.
Surrender. You've got to give it to God. And don't just say, well, I'm going to give it to you, kind of, but I'm still going to hold on to it a little bit.
Good.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
You've got to let it go. And it doesn't mean that you're not going to advocate, that you're not going to love them, support them, cheer them on, help them. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That none of that doesn't mean when you release it. Right? It just means that you are now able to breathe a little bit easier because you know that God has it,
Good.
right?
Number
The other
one.
thing is pray. Pray over your children.
Oh,
Say their name out loud to the Lord.
and let them hear you pray. It's okay. Pray in front of them. Yes.
Right, but pray for them, right? Ask God to move in their lives in a mighty way. And it's not instant. And don't get hung up on, well, you didn't answer it today. Like don't get hung up on that, right?
Right.
God will answer in his own timing. The other thing that I really want moms to understand is you have to take care of you. Okay? Mamas, we are pulled in 9 million different directions all the time. We work, we're the taxi drivers, we keep the house going, the laundry, everything, right? And sometimes as mamas, when our kids are struggling and we see them struggling, we get beat down even more because then the lies really start to creep in, right? I'm a failure. I missed it. I didn't see this. All of those, the enemy is really trying to get you down because, right, if he can take out you and then he can take out the family unit, then he's won, right? So remember that you matter too, right? That you have to help yourself so that you can help care for everybody else. You can't pour from an empty cup,
That's true.
right? So one thing that I even talk about this in the book is not only advocating for your children, but advocating for yourself, right? Find your self-worth. Find a few minutes a day to be and do something that just pours into your soul, right? It doesn't have to be extravagant. Now listen, I'm all about hair day, spa day, nails days, the whole thing, right?
Right.
But sometimes that's not the season we're in, and that's okay. But if it means going for a walk for 10 minutes by yourself and enjoying some sunshine, that's important because you matter.
Mhm.
You matter too.
Oh, Jen, this is so good. This is going to be a mighty help for many moms. I'm already thinking of people that I'm going to be for sure to send this episode to. Well, tell us a little bit on how that they can find your book and how to connect with you.
Yeah. So we have a website.
Mhm.
It's warriormomcoach.net. On there, I have free resources to help your teen, but also to help you. You can sign up for our emails. There's a link on there too to join our Facebook community, right? The Facebook community is just a group of moms who are on there to help lift each other up, right?
Mhm.
Because community is important, right? Sometimes you need somebody that understands and can empathize with exactly how you're feeling. Though they may not be going through the same journey. It may not be mental health. It may be addiction. It may be just your kid is in a horrible place right now for whatever reasons, right? It doesn't have to be the same. But as
Mhm.
mamas that have walked through hard times and we've walked through the fire, that community is there to help us and to uplift us. Sometimes it's, can you pray for us today?
Right.
My kid is really struggling, or I'm really struggling today, right? We also like to, put funny things in there, like what happened to you this week that made you go, oh man, mama is being hard. Today, this week, being a mama is hard. And then the book, Warrior Mom Rising, is on Amazon as well.
Mm. And you're also on Instagram too.
Instagram, yep.
Warrior
Facebook,
Mom.
Warrior Mom on Instagram too.
Awesome. Oh, wow, Jen, this was a very, very great message. And thank you for sharing, because I know it's very personal and it's personal in your family, but moms will be able to relate. We all have, some of us have gone through it personally. Some of us has walked alongside of another mom who's gone through it, and some of us have family members. So this hits home, and I appreciate your time today. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. I was glad to be here.
Well, mamas, thank you so much for joining in. I know you are super busy doing all the things that can consume your day, but you took a couple of minutes to learn how God wants to build you up in your faith, family, and life, and He wants to applaud you for this. Please subscribe and review my show. This helps other moms tune in as well. I'd love to connect with you on Instagram at Front Parking Spot, on Facebook at Front Parking Spot Mom Community, or my website at jenniferbosma.com. Have an Ephesians 3:20 type of day, mamas, and be encouraged as you go for the front parking spot in your life today. God bless.